Wait. All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Click Pop Podcast. I'm here with Justin. How are you?
Well, it's a somber day, especially for me being originally from New York.
What happened?
22 years ago, there was something that happened in Manhattan, Twin Towers attack. So yeah, it's somber day. It's day of remembrance.
Where were you in New York on 9/11?
No, I was in California. I was going to San Diego State, and I got a phone call. I was sleeping. It was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was a morning time for us, California. I had class that day, and I got a phone call from a friend it was going to school with me. He was from New Jersey, and he was like, "Dude, put on the TV." And I was like, "Wow." What about you?
Yeah.
Where were you? Where were you?
I was in LA, where I'm from, and it was picture day at school. So, I was like getting my hair ready and stuff. And my parents woke up and told us that the World Trade Center was on fire. Then we watched the coverage and we still had to go to school.
Really?
Yeah. Then we get to school and the teacher's like, "Okay, students, we're going to turn the TV off now. We got to fill out our book card so that we know whose book belongs to who." And I'm sitting there thinking, this is a historic day. You're going to turn the TV off? We could do these book cards any other day. We shouldn't even be here right now, but
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could think about that is just playing devil's advocate. Maybe that's, the way she handled sometimes people handle stress like that oddly.
Oh, it was a man, but yeah, he had a famous lisp. Yeah, so and then just watch the coverage. It's weird right now. There's a kind of a anti 9/11 conspiracy movement going on. So you remember after 9/11, it was all, those documentaries like Loose Change and Zeitgeist and all that kind of stuff talking about how it was an inside job and this and that. And I don't necessarily come down on the side of it was a totally manufactured inside job, but there's definitely something different than just the official line. And lately I've been seeing a movement on social media in particular of people being like, "Hey man, how could you say that? Like Bush was a hero that day." Are you noticing that? And how do you feel about that overall?
No, I didn't notice that. I haven't seen it. I mean, maybe I'm just looking at the wrong websites. I don't know. Where are you seeing it? Like on Instagram?
Just on Twitter, when I'm in or X, whatever, in the For You area, it'll show you things that like you're not necessarily following, but it thinks you want to follow.
Yeah.
And I just see a lot there is kind of a thing of like, listen, we need to just believe the official story and stop questioning it. How dare you? I even just did a quick Google News thing to see what are the latest stories about 9/11. And one of the stories is like, let me pull it up. It's like 9/11 was a big day. It was like a tough day with no room for conspiracy theories. And again, are these really conspiracy theories?
No.
When you think about it.
But I'm saying, who's writing this? Like, who's the person? Let's get to the source. Who's actually?
I lived, and I remember 9/11. And I remember 9/11 was a shared trauma.
No room, but
who wrote room for conspiracies? Like, dude, we were thinking conspiracies that day. As soon as I heard that they found a passport from the hijacker on the ground, I was like, okay, something is going on here.
Yeah, but who wrote? Let's see who wrote this story. Who is it? Who is this person?
And this is just one guy. I mean, that's not necessarily indicative of the entire thing that I've seen. It's just more of a total like
Robert Englund. Okay, he knows.
Robert Englund. He played Freddy Krueger in Friday the 13th.
I mean, if Robert says it, then we have to listen to him, dude. He knows all, bro.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we came together. It was a unifying moment for the country and all that. But at the same time, we knew shortly thereafter that like all of the bin Ladens were flown out of the country.
Yeah.
And we knew about the Bush family's connections to the bin Laden family.
Yeah. And don't forget about Lucky Larry.
Who was that?
Lucky Larry Silverstein, the guy who took out the insurance policy
Yeah.
very shortly before the attack. You know, I don't know if you know or not, he was going to be on the hook. That building had asbestos in it. That was going to be roughly a $40 billion cleanup.
Jesus.
Yeah, but he conveniently didn't have to pay that because the building was destroyed.
They saved him a ton of money.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and the fact that he was supposed to be in that building for a meeting, and then he says that day his wife convinced him to go to a dermatology appointment. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know about all that.
I just think there's a bit of a revisionist history, and this isn't a Republican or Democrat thing,
No.
but everyone knew back then that Bush, I mean, his father ran the CIA during the time that JFK was killed and was president, and Bush had his ties to oil and Cheney, like we knew all of this back then.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this movement is to kind of sanitize it and be like, no, we were just attacked and that's it. Like it's obviously more complicated than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. And you know what? I don't know where we're going to officially know the real answer, but I do know one thing for sure, and is that many innocent people lost their lives that didn't deserve to die, and that's why we have our day of remembrance. So
absolutely. Did you happen to go back to New York in the days after 9/11? Did you
not
go back?
in days, because that happened in September, obviously, and school semester pretty much had just gotten underway. So I didn't go back. I didn't go into the city. We normally go into the city. My family, we have a tradition for Christmas. We go to see a Broadway show, you know, the Christmas Spectacular. We go to dinner at Carmine's or one of the other, you know, famous Italian places there, usually Carmine's. Carmine's is awesome. I like it, family style. But obviously that was not the year to go. So we didn't go. I don't think I stepped foot in Manhattan because that was 2001. I don't think I stepped foot into Manhattan until the summer of 2002.
Yeah.
So pretty much, you know, it all was obviously it wasn't cleaned up in all way or everything, but it was still kind of like the city was kind of, I crawled back to somewhat normality at that point, a little bit of it, you know, so.
Yeah.
And I didn't go near the financial district at all. I was in Midtown and maybe Chelsea for a hot minute or something. And the Village. I mean, I don't think I went to the financial district until many years later, 2004 or 5. I went. So
yeah, I went there around 2012 when they were building the Freedom Tower.
Yeah. Did you ever see that video of the guy did you ever see the video of the guy that jumped off that tower, parachuted, hang glide into the ground?
I may have. Yeah, I may have.
Wild. And he filmed himself when they were building that, and he got into the tower, he got in there, got to the top and jumped out and landed on the West Side Highway.
Good man. Was he arrested?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He put it on YouTube. He actually would have got away with it, but he put it on YouTube as, you know, many people do when they commit a crime. I mean, it was just too. I mean, I think that was the whole thing. It was like clout, you know.
Yeah. Dumbass.
But yeah.
Did you happen to know anybody that was in the towers?
I do. Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like everyone in New York, from New York, knew somebody.
Yeah, some way or other. Yeah. So
horrible day.
On a positive, I did know somebody, of course, but I do have two positive stories. I had a friend that was in one of the buildings, and his boss, he worked in a financial job, and his boss was like, everybody's, you know, this is when he was in the other tower, and his boss was like, everyone just sit tight, you know, the other one was hit, but you guys just chill, you know, we're gonna wait. And he was like, no, hold on, wait, no. So then like people were listening to the boss. So he's a pretty big dude, and he's got like the alpha mentality, and he just stood up and was like, no, I'm leaving. And he was like, boss was in his face, and he was like, no, dude, I don't think you understand. I'm leaving. So people kind of like got behind him because he kind of led the way there, and he got out. And I think because of his behavior, other people kind of followed him because he was sort of the bulldog that went out. It was like, I don't give a shit, I'm leaving. And he did, and he survived. So because of that, Had he listened to the people that he worked with, they told him, just because that happened. People were telling people to sit tight, don't leave your desk, don't go anywhere. And so they lost their lives. There
That's
wasn't
insane.
Well, I don't think they knew, they didn't know, and look, it's like, it's very easy to say, how could you, da, 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 da. But at the time, it's like, you're not thinking the building's going to be attacked. You're in your building thinking maybe something's going to happen on another floor or something, so, but also I have another friend, there was a concert the night before, and he worked in the Windows of the World. He was a sommelier in the Windows of the World, and he went to a concert. I want to say Michael Jackson had a concert the night before.
He did, yeah. It was like his big comeback concert or something.
Yeah, and so my friend went to that concert, and he partied hard and pulled an all-nighter, and it was like he got to call out sick to work, and he called out sick on September 11th.
Man.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson saving a life.
So it just goes to show you that a life of partying can sometimes save your life. And famously, that is what happened to Seth MacFarlane.
Right.
Not just to celebrities. He partied the night before his flight in Boston, and he went out and drank and partied all night, same thing to the wee hours of the morning, and missed his flight. And he was supposed to be on that flight. And that we never would have had Family Guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So partying can save a life.
I love that. That's a good message. Yeah, it's a sobering day every time. I always like to take the evening and watch these documentaries. Like there's one like that's just like minute by minute, and it doesn't have any narration. It doesn't have like that. It's just they called a bunch of videos from people, and they edited them together in a chronological order, and it just shows you like the whole thing, and it really just like transports you right back to that day. Yeah.
What's wild is when I watch footage from back then, I mean, it doesn't, obviously 22 years is a long time, but it doesn't feel that long ago. I can remember that seems fresh in my mind. I was in college, and I remember like what I did and my girlfriend then, and I remember like my life I had, and it just seems, there was technology, we had cell phones, but when I look at the footage, it looks like really old compared to what you see now on the news. It looks like it was filmed on like, because there was an analog, and they were using Betamax back then, and there was no digital cameras, or there was everything was shot on tape. So it just has that like really old.
I feel the same way. Yeah,
it doesn't feel that long ago, but it looks very aged.
In my mind, I remember that day clearly, and yeah, it feels current. But those videos still have that kind of like 90s video VHS type of thing. I mean, there are some videos that have emerged. Yeah, it's like grainy and stuff like, and even some like the style and the hairstyles and stuff like that is like the tail end of the 90s. But there are some out there, some like randomly someone was filming with like a film camera, and they were up in an apartment filming the towers, and like that'll like bring you right back to like a clear modern day view of it. But
because it's on probably 35 millimeter or Super 16 or something.
Yeah, it's like HD. It's crazy. So I don't know. Terrible day. It's weird now. 22 years. I remember at 6 months. I was like, wow, one day this will be 5 years ago, and here we are 22 years later. I don't know if young people, what they think of it when they see the videos or read about it, but
yeah, it's hard when you don't experience it. I mean, I guess we're guilty of that, right? Like our grandparents lived through World War II, and by the time we were in school, we were like, I mean, it's like, it seemed, obviously you understand the gravity of it, because we watched, there's like movies and documentaries and famous movies in Hollywood, and World War II has been really impounded in our brains, but it doesn't quite have the same, we don't quite, I don't know that we have to feel the same way that our elders did, like our grandparents when they experienced World War II. It's hard when you don't experience something. It's hard to know or feel the same way that somebody who did. You know, you can understand it, you can appreciate how important it was and how devastating it was, and all that. But unless you live it, you know, and I hope they don't have to have their own version of a 9/11. I hope not.
Yeah. Well, listen, at least bin Laden is dead. At least he got shot in the face.
Yeah. And and also, you know, another silver line. I mean, it's like we were going back saying, like, when people were in the building and you said, why wouldn't they just leave? You know, they didn't know. But it's like, you know, back then when we were growing up, there was like hijackings. Like people would say, oh, we're going to hijack this plane. So nobody really did anything. If somebody had a box cutter or a knife, you'd be like, well, I don't want to get caught or something. So you think, well, ultimately, if you just kind of chill out, the plane might go somewhere. You have a chance of survival. But now that, you know, now that September 11th happened, the first thought is they're going to just crash the plane. So now everyone just goes, why? What's get cut from a box cutter or something? You just tackle the guy. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like people know now, like, just to kind of just go crazy and go after the person that's trying to hijack the plane, you know, because you know kind of how it's going to end. But before that, you would just be like, okay, if we just do what he says, they're going to land the plane somewhere. And, you know, no one would think that someone would be crazy enough to, like, you know,
That's
basically
true.
kamikaze the plane, you know.
That's true. That's very true. Well, my request for Americans today is to not watch any live golf or participate in any live golf tournaments or anything like that, because they're backed by the Saudis who helped bankroll the hijackings. Let us never forget that fact. Which
and I don't know. And then why? Like, that's another thing too. Like, why? It's so bizarre. There's so many unanswered questions.
Many.
Maybe someday we'll learn. We'll find out.
Yeah. Probably not. Honestly, I'm looking at, like, they won't release those Kennedy assassination files after 60 years.
I know.
This is much more complex than that. We probably will never know the full truth. Oh, well. All right. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis took some backlash over the weekend over their weird, what people are calling very lawyered apology for writing letters in support of the of Danny Masterson, their co-star on That 70s Show, sentenced to 30 years in prison. Let's watch this apology real quick, and then we'll comment on it.
Is apology going? Are we putting air quotes around apology?
Well, people are like, oh, so you just upset that everyone found out that you wrote these letters. That's the take that I'm seeing a lot.
Yeah.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
That's the worst acting they've ever done, right? It's like reading it. Maybe they should have read the copy a couple times before they delivered the lines. One person pointed out you can even hear the clicking of a mouse in the video when, like, they go to the next page of their statement. It was really like not like we feel like it was like not
Gorp, meat, Zorp, Mador, Gorp.
Well, it's just like they eschewed the usage of any acting techniques like, hey, substitution. Think about something from your life that would upset you in a way, or, you know, like.
Oh,
like,
is that an acting technique?
Yeah. It's like, think about a time that you were.
How'd you learn that?
Oh, when I was in acting class.
Well, oh, okay.
I wish
Go
I
on.
could deliver these
Go
lines.
on. Cook, baby, cook. Tell me all about it.
We are very upset about you people finding out about these
You
letters.
people.
It's
What do you
gonna
mean,
make it
you
so
people?
goddamn hard for us to have a career after this.
Oh man.
No, but they could do like a substitution thing or like anything. Just make it a little less robotic, like you said.
Yeah. Maybe this is kind of exposing something about their character or the quality of
Yeah.
their character that has kind of been hidden from a lot of people. So now it comes out. So
Well,
now people
here's
go, wait a second. There's like a little like some of your makeup's falling off here. Are you really who we thought you were?
okay. So get this. One of the accusers of Masterson
Yeah.
has been very vocal on social media, and this post was supposedly from her. She's sitting there going,
Wait, is this the murder?
"This is about the murder."
The
Yes.
murder, dude. Yeah, I know. This is so. This story is weird. So
she
go
says,
ahead.
"Dear,
Tell the
dear."
audience the story. Tell the story. This is a weird
All
story.
right. So just for people who don't know, Ashton Kutcher was dating a girl in early 2001, pre 9/11, and she was killed. Turned out later by a serial killer who was convicted. Ashton showed up the night she was killed to take her out on a date or to
Was
a
this
party. I think.
this in Canada?
No, I think this was in LA.
It's in LA.
I think so. Why
Okay,
would he be in Canada?
I thought it was in Toronto.
Now, okay, we might have to look that up. But either way, he shows up to pick her up.
Right.
She doesn't answer the door. He
Right.
claims that he saw what he thought was spilled wine on the floor through the window, and so he took off. Next day, comes out, she's dead. And so he freaks out and he calls the cops and says, "Hey, I want to explain myself because my fingerprints are all over the doorknob, I'm sure, because I was trying to get in." So he's like, "Oh, I'm going to tell my story." All right. But the woman, the accuser, is saying, "Dear Ashton, I know the secrets your role model," that's Danny Masterson, by the way, "keeps for you, ones that would end you. Did you forget I was there? You were on speakerphone that night. You called Danny on February 21st, 2001. I heard everything. I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor." And then she talks about Mila Kunis and what she went through being like kind of groomed on the set. She was like 14. That's a whole other.
Yeah, that's a weird story too. She lied about her age and everything, and then
and like Masterson's betting Kutcher $10 to French kiss her and stuff like that. It's a whole weird thing. With right now, let's focus on the murder. So the insinuation, from what I've gathered, what I've read, is not that Ashton killed her, but it's that he knew she was dead, but he just left and went on with his night. And he called Danny Masterson and his team or whatever to game plan this. They decide, oh, it's better. This is not confirmed, but that they would have decided, oh, it's better for you to just go on and like when the news comes out, then you report it, because if he calls the cops, then there'll be questions about him and it'll stain his career. He's a young up and coming actor. This kind of stigma will stick with him. Did he kill his girlfriend? Did he not? So they kind of did a little game plan of just like, hey, I know she's dead, but I'm going to pretend I didn't know. And then I'll be shocked when I find out, and I'll call and be like, oh my God, I was there to pick her up, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's what the accuser is insinuating here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it too. Like he called his team first before he called 911.
Yeah.
And then he had to act shocked. Here's my question. Did he do a better acting job then than he did on this apology?
He better have. He must have, because it worked.
Yeah. Maybe he was a better actor back then. Maybe he's like lost his way.
We are very sorry that this girl died. We didn't want her to. Both of us, we don't like it that she's dead, right? We support dead people everywhere. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely like going to come out now. There's going to be a social push right now from social media and from the public to get more information about this about this occurrence, and so this might be very damaging to him.
Yeah, which is also why people say he wrote these letters, because
Because Danny has
the
on him.
secret.
Yeah.
Did Wilmer Valderrama write a letter in support? Let me Google that, because he was
I know
also.
that he's always pretty. He's got a pretty. Did he? I don't think so. I wouldn't think he would.
I completely forgot that he was on that show. He's
Come
done a
on,
good job of keeping his name out of the news here.
He's Fez.
No, I know, but like I haven't heard his name mentioned once with Danny Masterson, but I keep reading online, and maybe you'll know about this because you may have been around, that like back in the days when that 70s show was big, that these guys kind of ran young Hollywood, Danny Masterson and Wilmer and Ashton. Did you ever hear anything like that when you were working for that 3-letter agency?
Not like, I mean, it was like, but I mean, that's no different than any other show with a bunch of young guys on it that goes out.
Yeah. I
mean, that's just kind of, it seems to be a thing, you know, when you have a TV show like that with a bunch of young stars on it, they go to the club, especially back then before social media, they go to the bars, they get bottle service.
Yeah.
You know, and they get bottle service, and then they have all the girls come up to their table, and then they take them all home, and that's pretty much par for the course.
Yeah. So get this, that 70s show co-stars Deborah Jo Rupp and Kurtwood Smith, those were the parents, also wrote their own statements on behalf of Masterson. Well, it seems that former castmates Topher Grace, Laura Prepon, and Wilmer Valderrama did not. So maybe Deborah Jo Rupp and Kurtwood Smith were also involved in a murder. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Knew about it.
I figured Wilmer wouldn't. I know I met Wilmer a few times. He's really cool. He's chill, and he's, you know, I think he's got a pretty good moral compass.
Yeah. Laura Prepon surprises me because isn't she also Scientologist?
Well, if she is, then I mean, she might have done that because of Scientology, because Danny was a Scientologist.
But she didn't write one. That's what I'm saying. I would think that she would be like required to.
I don't know all that stuff, but we do know that he got 30 years.
Was okay. Hold on, real quick, just so for the record, she was a Scientologist until 2016 when she decided to cut ties with the church.
That explains why she didn't then. Yeah.
Okay, and then Topher Grace, of course, who everyone is saying is like vindicated. He used to be thought of as pretentious because he didn't want to hang out with the cast. Now everyone's like, oh, of course you don't want to hang out with the cast. They're showing up to murder scenes and you know, doing what Danny Masterson did and
preying on young girls.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that those type of if that was true, we're going to be very clear. We don't know that this is true, but if it's true that Ashton Kutcher knew she was dead and then just left the scene and waited for the cops to find her, is that a career ender for him?
If it's a crime,
I don't think it was a crime. I think it's just more about like, wow, you didn't call.
It's a pretty shitty thing. Like that's the first thing you should do. Like help, call. Yes. Yeah. The answer to your question, yes, it will be a career ender for him. It's going to be hard to crawl out of that, especially crime. It might be a crime. Because if he didn't call in time, what if those few moments they can prove that if she would have gotten medical attention, maybe she could have lived or something, you know? Anytime you can call and get the cops and get the ambulance there, I mean, in a situation like that, seconds sometimes can make a difference of saving someone's life, right?
Yeah.
You know? Seconds. So, I mean, yeah. If you would have called, you burst in the room, you go there, you try to help her. I mean, you think she's dead, I mean, I don't know. It looks pretty bad on his part. He looks terrible. So,
yeah.
He's going to be, I don't know. He's going to be persona non grata right now, dude. Like on TV. Who's going to want to put him on anything? I don't want to. I wouldn't want. If I was a producer, I would like cut him. I don't want him on there. He's going to be like, people are going to boycott the show or the project.
Absolutely. Even without the true story, the full story coming out, just this whole writing a letter of support thing is going to, and it's already now drudging up a bunch of other old clips of him talking about Hillary Duff, when she gonna turn 18, and then like all that kind of stuff.
Creepy,
So
dude. Yeah, it's just it's getting all. She just kept his big mouth shut, dude.
yeah, well, I think people are speculating that they didn't know that the letters could be made public. So that's why they're like,
so they could do the
we
letter,
wrote,
affect the judge. Maybe the judge would give him like 15 years, and then he could be like, hey, I did my part, you did your thing, and then everything's under wraps, and then he can just go on being like, hey, look at me, I'm amazing. But
yeah,
you're writing the letter, and now it comes out, and now they're finding out about this, so now it uncovered. It opened the can of worms, dude.
yeah, that's why they're like, these letters were intended for the judge.
Yeah, we didn't know.
What the hell?
Everybody was gonna read them. Like,
yeah.
and how do you have all that money and you didn't have a lawyer? You didn't confer with a lawyer?
Yeah, I'm sure they conferred with the lawyer, and the lawyer said, listen, Danny is going to go public with the story of Danny's going to accuse you of killing the girl.
Yeah. Yeah. You better write this letter.
Yeah.
There's a proverbial gun to his head, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole story is weird, and I predict it's going to get even weirder. I bet more things come out. Because once this is a snowball effect, this happens, right? Because people like all the time, right? How many times in your career at the three-letter industry, where three-letter business, where we were like, I heard things about people where I'm like, really? And they're like this, that. But it's like, I'm like, but the girl doesn't want to say anything, or the guy doesn't want to say anything, and they go, man, what am I going to do? Go to the news or something? It's like one thing. And then, but then when someone does come forward or something happens, and then that person says, oh, well, they went, so I'm going to chime in. And then when they chime in, they find out, hey, wait a second. All these people start coming out of the woodwork, you know?
I think that whole era, that whole period of like young Hollywood, the early 2000s, is ripe for a
comeuppance,
like a telling of the true story. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Oh yeah, because I feel like there's a lot of people from that time that got away with, for lack of a better word, murder. But they got away with a lot. They sure
did. All right, real quick. Speaking of young Hollywood, let's just talk about Timothy and Kylie. They are fully.
I'm already sick of them.
They are out and about. They're together. They're being seen. They're dressing alike.
Who cares? Who cares? I'm so sick of these two already.
They look very similar. The more I look at them, at first I was like, that's not a couple that fits together. But the more I look at them, they're both kind of weird. And I don't know. Maybe they're both vapid or something. Like, I don't know what they have in common, but they are really vibing with each other. I mean, Kylie, we got to remember, Kylie's super young. You know, she's what, only like 22, 23 now?
Is that how old she is, dude?
No, hold on. I'm hearing from my producer that she's 27. Let me look this up.
She's older than 22, dude.
No. Wasn't she a 22-year-old billionaire or something?
Hey, Siri.
Oh, 26.
How old is Kylie? What's her name? Jenner? Or is she Kardashian?
She's a Jenner. Okay, Kylie is 26. I just Googled it.
26?
Yeah.
She's born in November. She born in November?
Let's see. Kylie Jenner. August. So she just turned 26.
Oh, she just turned 26?
Yeah, last month. So, like literally just about a month ago.
How old is he? How old is he?
Timothy Chalamet is... He's 27, yeah.
All right, so like the same age.
But anyways, you know, maybe she's just kind of grown up a little bit. When she was younger and she was having kids with Travis and, you know, dating Tyga and all that, like that was more her scene. And now she's a little older. She's thinking, I want to go to the US Open and, you know, be taken more seriously or something. I don't know.
Who cares about this? Is such a phony relationship. This is so calculated. I want nothing. I hate this relationship. I don't even care. I don't care what happens to these two. I don't care.
I thought it was a phony relationship because we kept hearing rumors, but we never saw them together. But now that we've seen them making out at the Beyonce concert, and now they're sitting in the box with the other celebs at the US Open, I think either Timothy was like kind of put off by it at first, but then he was like, "Oh, you know what? They're trying to make it happen. You know, what else I got going on? Sure, I'll hook up with Kylie Jenner."
It's just, I mean, it's the fact that they're like having so much PDA in two of like the most like televised things. It's screaming phony to me. Listen, there's an old thing, like the couples on Facebook that are always like posting how in love they are. Like, we're in love, we're in love, we're in love. Oh my God, love, every day, love. Those are the ones that's cheating. There's all kinds of stuff going on under the hood that you don't want to know about. The couples that are like, yeah, whatever, like just chill about it. Those are the ones that last. Those are the real relationships. You don't need to, if you're posting all this stuff, if you're having all this PDA and public things, phony, dude. Totally phony. Covering up for something. I don't buy it one bit. I'll tell you what I'm more interested in. What was more entertaining to me about this whole day is Jovic. How do I say his name? Djokovic. That's right. I can never say it. Djokovic, by the way, wins his 4th U.S. Open. Congratulations to him. But the fact that, Moderna was sponsoring this, and the fact that they had to do the shot of the game, it was him winning. Right. I mean, the irony is just
because for people who don't know, he refused to get vaccinated and he was prevented from playing in the Open. The last couple of years, right?
Yeah, they prevented him from playing. They called him all kinds of names, threatened him, and he was like, "I'm not taking this experimental vaccine. I'll take other vaccines, but not this one." And they were like, "Oh, they dragged him through the mud." And then Moderna, they were trying to sue. They went after him like, oh man, they were on him like white on rice. And he just stuck to his guns, did not take the vaccine, and did not get the shot. And then he wins this 4th U.S. Open. And then Moderna sponsored this match, and they have a thing called Shot of the Game, which is they show you the winning play, and it was him. So it's just,
that is very funny.
Isn't it ironic?
He's definitely vindicated.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving is probably vindicated, although I'm sure he's pissed that he lost $41 million or whatever it was that he gave up. But they have been vindicated. I would say they are trying to make COVID a thing again. They're talking about the new variant. They're saying, no, get the booster. And here's a conspiracy theory that I have right now. Jill Biden does not have COVID. That's the most convenient thing. They're like, oh, even Dr. Jill has COVID. Everyone's getting it again. Like, I'm calling bullshit on that. She doesn't have COVID. They're like, listen, Jill, stay inside the whatever wing of the White House that you live in. Stay there for a week. We're going to say you have COVID. We need to sell it. Can you do that for us, Dr. Jill? And she said, yeah, sure. I don't give a shit. So I don't believe she has COVID. They're using her as like a famous person.
They want to do mail-in voting again. That's what they want.
Yeah.
They want those mail-in votes that, are very safe and secure. You can't tamper with those mail-in votes. You can't tamper with that. You don't get more secure. You don't get more secure than a mail-in vote.
That's right. Can't get COVID from your ballot.
Yeah. You don't get more secure than that. I mean, where I lived, I got 5. Was it 5? Whoever lived in the building before me, they sent me 5 voter forms. But, of course, I only filled out 1. But it's as safe and secure as you're going to get. So
I love it. All right. Well, listen, everybody, make sure you are subscribed to ClickPop on YouTube and turn on the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ClickPop2 and on TikTok at ClickPop0 and on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. I always forget Facebook. ClickPop. Like it.
Yeah.
Justin, any last words?
Here's the shot of the day, dude.
Moderna. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Dude. Peace.